This is Second Ezra 16 and 37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. I'd like to start off by saying, Barak Atah Yahweh, Barak Atah Yahweh Shai, Kol V'Loim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, B'chak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edified. It's the brother Shuab Amawan back at you with another lesson. You're going into the title, all right? Famine Incoming, all right? And I'm going to show you a video from Instagram, all right? And, you know, a great famine is about to come upon the land, all right? Because right now, you have the economic disaster coming upon us, right? Check this out.
Orders. If you're not worried now about the economy, now is so Trump supporters. If you're not worried now about the economy, now is the time to be worried. Nebraska, Tyson Foods. They're the largest meat producer in the country. They're closing their Nebraska beef processing plant because of Trump economics. Cattle costs have risen $2 billion because of Trump's tariffs, and it has resulted in a net loss of $425 million in 2025 to date for Tyson Foods. So they're closing their meat packing plant, and 3,200 employees in this small town with only 11,000 residents are losing their jobs. 3,200 employees, and I can guarantee a vast majority voted for this, and it doesn't end there. Tyson is taking their 3-shift slaughter operation in Texas down to 1 shift. So a lot more people at their Texas facility are going to be let go. When you talk about big industries now being affected, not the small guy, but those at the top of the food chain being impacted and closing down, we are in a world of economic hurt. And this is just the beginning, because this Trump administration is not focused on fixing the problem. They keep creating more. And I got to tell you, just this Tyson food location in Nevada, there are so many suppliers, so many vendors, contractors every single day that did work for this Tyson facility, whether inside the building or outside the building. These are big contracts that these local businesses are now going to lose. So they're going to be affected as well. Expect more layoffs and bankruptcies downstream of Tyson Foods. So Trump supporters, if you're not worried now about the economy, right? Now.
Nebraska and Texas. Nebraska is laying off 3,200 people from a meat processing center, and that meat processing center in Nebraska is about to close down. It's being closed down, all right? So that means Tyson Foods is not going to be providing that food that people need anymore, right? And she said that Texas has 3 shifts usually, but now it's going to be brought down to 1 shift, okay? So that's showing you that a famine is going to come upon the land, man, all right? And she said this is just the beginning. All right. As a matter of fact, let's grab this as I'm in Second Ezra's already. This is Second Ezra's 16 and 17. Woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when those evils shall come? All right. And that spiritual that she said is the beginning of things because, hey, that's what we're in, the beginning of sorrows, man. Okay. We're in the beginning of famine. Great death is upon us, you see. We're in the beginning of these wars, all right? And everybody right now is standing in fear because, you know, America's on edge, man. Your cool lord, your president, right? He has everybody like basically thinking, what's next? What's next to happen here in America? Okay. It says the beginning of evils, and that's what it ultimately comes down to. These elites ruling the world and bringing evil upon this place, man, because these devil's horns are truly setting in. You see, now you're starting to realize who your true enemy is. See, this is why these little hatters are being exposed throughout the world. Now the world's starting to realize who the devil that the Bible speaks of is. All right. You're starting to realize how these Edomites, man, they just cruel ass people, man. Okay. They're not a keeper at home. They could care less about their own people. They could care less about where they're at. They'll shit where they sleep. You know, that's how these devils are. That's how they move. Right? It says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be mindful, always be mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth. All right. And victuals go into foods. Okay. Not only victuals could go into foods, it could go into a lot of necessities, things that we need in life. All right. But the main thing it speaks about is food. So food at one point is going to be cheap. Why? Because people ain't gonna have money to get it. All right. These jobs are closing down. You know, people don't have jobs, period. All right. The economy here, you know, people can't afford things. So these victuals become cheap, not necessarily because they want to sell it cheap, is because ain't nobody buying that shit. All right. Because hyperinflation is about to go skyrocket. So once hyperinflation goes up, what's going to happen is only these rich people are going to be able to buy things. Right. But these stores are not going to be able to have, you know, just waste product and lose out on money because they're already doing bad also. So what they have to do is they have to bring things that are on high inflation, have to bring it down to a lower price, you know, to make it affordable. And it's not going to be affordable for people because the economy is crashing. You see? So, excuse me. So basically they can't have things spoil. So it has to come down to a certain value. You see? So it says, victuals shall be so go cheap upon earth that they think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. All right, so again, famine is incoming. A lot of people about to die off of famine, bro. You see? And if the sword don't get you, all right, I mean, so like if the famine don't get you, the sword will get you. All right. That's why it tells you, let's grab this. This is Lamentations 4:9. And it reads, it is better to be slain with the sword. I mean, Salaka, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away stricken through for the want of the fruits of the field. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were the meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. So people going to come out here and resort to, you know, cannibalism. People going to start chopping up their children, boiling them, right? Throwing a little sazon, a little adobo inside that little water, all right? And they're going to have, you know, they're going to have a feast with their own children. And it's better to die by the sword. See, nobody wants to die through actual famine, man. To die by famine is the worst thing that you can actually go through, man. That's right. 4 points of death is right. So on, Sister Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah Barakatam to you, right? So it says, let's grab this. This is that's a curse upon our people, right? Deuteronomy 28. And let's grab it from Give me 1 second. Let me just always forget where it's at in Deuteronomy 28. This is 52, right? Matter of fact, let's take it for 51. It says, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of the land. Matter of fact, let me grab this in the linear so I can bring them out in both. Deuteronomy 28 and 50. What was I? 52. Yeah, 52, right? It says, I'll take it from 51. Let's take it from 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. All right. And we're in that nation of a fierce countenance, man. All right. Because the Lord said, you know, as a curse, he will bring a nation against thee from far. Okay. As swift as the eagle flieth, right? A nation whose tongue out that thou shalt not understand. That's why we pretty much, you know, live in captivity today, speaking English. You know, that's not our true roots. That's not our true culture. Okay. So it says, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. All right. That says in NLT, it says its armies will devour your livestock and crops, and you will be destroyed. They will leave you no grain, no new wine, olive oil, calves, and or lambs, and you will starve to death. You see, and that's what this devil's doing. He's getting ready to starve us out here. It says they will attack. 52 in back to KJV. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until the high fenced walls come down wherein thou hast trusted throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord Yahweh thy power has given thee. All right. And what's that mean, man? You're going to be in lockdowns. To besiege a city is to lock it down, to fence it in. Okay. So, you know, that's also coming upon this place. All right. Lockdowns, shutdowns. All right. FEMA camps. Right. It says, and thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord Yahweh thy power has given thee in the siege. You see, in the time of you know, in these FEMA camps. Okay. In the time of lockdowns. Okay. And in the straitness wherewith the enemies shall distress thee, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, right? It says, and he that will not give to any of them and he will not give to any of them the flesh of his children whom he shall eat. You see? Because he has nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. The tender and delicate woman among you, which will not venture to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward her husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, meaning her babies, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for the want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. You see, so this is what the famine is going to bring upon us, man. You know, daddy gonna be eating his children, mama gonna be eating her children, you know, secretly in the siege. All right. And this is all prophecy. All right. It tells you that in Baruch. Let me grab that real quick. Baruch 2 and 3, and it reads, I'll take it from 1. It says, therefore the Lord Yahweh has made good his word, which he pronounced against us, and against our judges that judged Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah, to bring upon us great plagues such as never happened under the whole heaven. It is come to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that were written in the law of Moses, that a man should eat the flesh of his own son and the flesh of his own daughter. You see? So that's a plague that's coming upon our people, man. That's why I read at the beginning, the plagues are not slack. Okay? The Lord said that he going to bring upon Egypt, all right, upon America, all right, the plagues that he brought in Egypt, right? Because he said, I will smite Egypt with plagues again. So there was never a second time of Egypt being mentioned, all right? We only went through Egypt once, you see? So what's the second time? Because spiritually, we are Sodom and Egypt, as it tells you in Revelations, the 11th chapter, okay? So we're considered as Egypt spiritually, because we're still in captivity. So the plagues, all right, as the scriptures tell you in Ecclesiastes 1:9, the thing that was is the thing that shall be, all right? And there's no new thing under the sun, roughly paraphrasing it, right? So whatever happened in the ancient world is going to happen in these times. History repeats itself. So the Lord said, I will bring plagues upon Egypt again. So the same thing that was given to as plagues in Egypt is going to be given to here in America, man. And famine is one of them. See, famine was always one of the things that the Lord brought upon our people, man, when they were hard-headed and stiff-necked, all right? And he about to bring it upon us in a great manner, in a way we have never seen, all right? Worse than any other time that we've ever seen, that we've ever experienced, than any other captivity, you see? Yeah, that's a scary way to die, bro. Shalom, that's a scary thing. That's a scary ass way to die, bro. It's by famine. That you talk about your stomach eating your stomach, bro. You know, you dying from the inside out. You know, and the crazy part is that when you have no water is the worst, because see, at least if you don't eat, you can survive for weeks, you know, a month, because you have water. So it's really not so much starvation that kills you, it's the dehydration that kills you. So once you have no water, that's where you start hallucinating, you know. That's why these people going to end up eating their children, because there's going to be no water. They're going to take away your water source. They're going to take away your water source first. You see? Because that would be the smart thing to do. Take away the water, all right, and put them in the bad predicament to starve. And like I said, with water, at least you can hold off. You could drink water for a month. Hey, Yahushua fasted for 30 days and 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, so go figure. That means that you can actually, you know, conquer that. And I believe he did a dry fast anyway. But still, you know, if you have water, you're good. The moment that water's gone, that's it. Then you're done for, right? So this is Isaiah. Let me grab this real quick. This is Isaiah 3:1, and I'll read it. I'll read it from here. It says, "For behold, the Lord Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, does take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the staff and the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water." You see, bread and water is going to be taken from you, man. See, that's why there shall be no pity upon his neighbor in those last days, man, because of the great tribulation. Let's grab that. This is 2nd Ezra 15 and Salakia. 15 and 19. A man shall have no pity. Let's grab from 18. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. Yeah, because many great miseries shall be given to them, right? That in the latter times walked in great pride. So these are the great miseries that's coming upon this place. For there shall be for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, because the lack of bread, you see, and for great tribulation. Okay, so people going to turn against each other just because it's going to be starving out here. Survival of the fittest. All right. And as I always say, all right, the lack of bread, if you want to look at it in a spiritual sense, you lack Yahushai, because Yahushai is the true bread of life. Because what did the Lord say, right? Let's grab this. This is let's grab John real quick. This is Salakia. This is John what did I want? 6 and 35. And it reads, and Yahushua said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. You see? So you have to understand that our fathers did eat manna in the wilderness, but the Lord said, your fathers are dead. Because see, they were trying to satisfy themselves physically, you know, and they tempted the Lord. Here it was, the Lord gave them water, gave them quails to eat, you know. He gave them everything they needed, and they yet still tempted the Heavenly Father. All right. So Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is the true bread of life. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me see. It says I'm in the same chapter. Let's grab it from 48. I am the bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the bread which cometh down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die. That's spiritual manna. So you want the spiritual manna, which is this word, because that's what's going to keep you satisfied. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. Okay. And that's a symbolic thing, right? Now let's grab this. This is Matthew 4, and let's take it from 1. Then was Yahushua led of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward a-hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of Yahweh, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh. You see? So having this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is what's going to be the stability of thy times, man. All right? If you have this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, you're not going to be starving, man, because you understand that everything is of the Heavenly Father. You understand, all right, that the Lord is going to provide at the end of the day, right? Let's grab that real quick. This is, what's that, Matthew 66? I believe it is. 1 second. Matthew 66, Salakia. Isaiah. You know what? Let me just grab it like this. My servant shall eat, KJV. Isaiah 65. This is Isaiah 65 and 13. And it says, let's take it from 12. Therefore will I number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter, because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. So we're not worried about it at the end of the day. We know that somehow, some way, the Lord is going to provide for us. We're going to be able to eat in those last days, man. Okay? As a matter of fact, all these people heaping up treasures, all these people with their bunkers, you know, these doomsday preppers that they all, you know, gathering up all this food. See, it's going to be for people like us, man. It's going to be for the elect. Okay? Because those people are going to be wiped out. Those people are going to be taken out of the way. And then we're going to run into those bunkers. We're going to run into these houses, with doomsday prepper food. You see? So the Lord gonna provide a way for us to be able to eat in those last days. That's why we're not worried about it. You see? That's why we're worrying about eating the spiritual manna first. Okay? Remember, the Lord says, seek ye the kingdom, right? And all these things shall be added onto you. So if you seek in the kingdom, all right, and your mind is always on the kingdom, well, whatever it is that your heart desires, all right, the Lord is going to provide it onto you. These things are going to be added onto you. The Lord is, he's not looking down on us and saying, yeah, I'm going to starve him too. And he's been doing the work of the Lord. He knows exactly what you want, man. He knows you need that food. But see, he wants to present that miracle, you see, because that's what's going to give you that. That's what's going to have you praising Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai in the time of a famine. Okay. So let's grab, I had a certain precept, man. It was just in my head and it went away. Let's grab this though. This is 2 Kings 6:25. All right, this is what's coming here to America. Oh, that's what I had. The water Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. This is 2 Ezra 6. And where's it at? This is 22. Oh man, my bad. Hold on. I feel like a sneeze is coming. This is 20. Yeah, let's take it from 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. And at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. All right. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. Okay. So at the end of the day, these places that you once seen, you know, packed with food, your Walmarts. All right. Well, I don't know where you brothers is at in, you know, different states and all that, or you sisters, but, you know, out here in Jersey, we got Walmarts, ShopRites, Targets. Okay. All those places are going to be unsown suddenly. There ain't going to be no food, nothing on the shelves no more. Because when all hell breaks loose, these places are going to be looted. These places are going to be, you know, destroyed because people are going to be in their ignorance. All right. So they're going to be stealing, you know, looting. All right. And then these martial law troops are going to be brought into place. And those places, that's why eventually those places are going to be turned into, you know, basically FEMA camps, FEMA camp holders, you know, a place for you to get the MOTB, the RFID. You see, these places that are like stadiums, they're going to be turned into FEMA camps and FEMA detainment centers. All right. Places where you can get your RFID. Okay. And as a matter of fact, now that I see, I'm saying that there was, damn, where did I see that? They now starting to have these free food drives, I guess you want to say, you know, where you could go and get free food from particular places, you see, and there be lines wrapped around the corner. Okay. People going to try to flee to these, what do you call it? These open door food banks, and those food banks are not going to be able to, you know, withstand. Why? Because eventually their food gonna run out. You see? So the Lord gonna bring a great famine upon this place, man, whether people like it or not. All right. And it's because of their destruction. It's for their own good, you know, for their own wickedness that they wanted to, you know, abide in. So the Lord, that's what he does. He brings famine upon these places, man. All right. And we are the trumpet that's giving the sound, the warning. All right. Telling you what's about to come. And you're supposed to fear these things. But see, with all the scourges happening, they're still not going to turn from their wickedness. They're going to still continue to do what they do. All right. So let's grab, going back to what I was saying before. This is 2 Kings 6:25. All right. And this is why eventually, let me grab this first. All right. Everybody going to give up their bodies, because see, that's a way that Esau, all right, is going to have you bow down to his system by starving you and thirsting you. Okay, back to Deuteronomy 28 and what is that, 48, I believe it is. Yeah, this is 47. Because thou serve not the Lord Yahweh thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore, see, look, let's listen to that again. It says, and I'm gonna grab that from the NLT. If you do not serve the Lord Yahweh your power with joy and enthusiasm for the abundant benefits you have received. See, when you worship the Lord, you will have the abundance of things, man. But see, because these people didn't fall in that category of hearkening onto the Lord, see, they're not going to have the abundance of all things. So they're going to have to go to who? They're going to have to go and pray to the gods which they have called, right? And depended on in the time of the tribulation. They're going to have to go cry unto them. And it says right here, if you do not serve the Lord Yahweh your power with joy and enthusiasm for the abundant benefits you have received, you will serve your enemies, whom the Lord will send against you. You will be left hungry, thirsty, naked, and lacking in everything. The Lord Yahweh will put an iron yoke on your neck, oppressing you harshly until he has destroyed you. You see? So you're going to go to the oppressor for the want of all things, and nakedness, all right, and hunger and thirst. You see? Why? Because you didn't go after the abundance of the Lord. See, the Lord's going to give you what you need, man. But see, you rather put your trust in the shadow of Egypt, and that's going to be your shame and your confusion in these last days, man. Because this devil has an agenda of depopulating your ass. You see? And this is going to be one of them. See, this is how you know he reads scriptures, because he knows that the Lord always brought famine upon us when we were going off. So he going to bring that famine upon you. And it's ultimately of the Lord, using him to do it. You see? So let's go back to, I wanted to grab Genesis real quick and 47, because these people going to give up their bodies, man. All right. Just like in the time of Pharaoh, all right, when there was a famine in the land and he had Joseph running things, right? People were going to Joseph for a bartering system because they had no more food, you see, which I'm going to read now. This is 13, right? It says, and there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by the reason of famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt, and that's what's coming here today. See, it's a spiritual thing that is saying that when the money failed in the land of Egypt, because the money is going to fail here in this place that's spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Okay. And in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money failed. And that's exactly how the people is going in these last days. They're going to come up to Esau. Well, the money has failed. Give us some bread. Give us some water. Well, all you got to do is bow down to the system. All you got to do is take this MOTB and I'll give you your food. You see? Total control over you, man. Right? It says, give us your bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, give your cattle, and I will give you your give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of herds, and for the asses. and he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. So that was a bartering system. That's what's going to happen in these last days today. Okay. And you realize how it said only for a year. So see, this is why it's good for you to suffer with the children of the Lord than to have pleasures of sin for a season. You see? Because see, these people going to have pleasures of sin for a season. So these people going to do anything in their mind, right? Whatever they have to do, even if it means wickedness, just to have pleasure that's only going to last temporarily once again. Because right after that, the Lord going to still destroy this place, man. You see? It says, and when the year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also has our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our land, you see? And that's how they're going to come with that mentality in these last days, man. Well, here, man, take my body. Here, take my right hand. Take my forehead. Give me the neural link. Give me this RFID. Okay? Take whatever you want from me. Okay? All because you starving. Because you don't have faith. Because you didn't have the understanding, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that was what? The stability of thy times. Because if you did, you would know that man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh. All right? So these precepts is your food, man. These precepts, this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is your true, is your true honey. Okay? It's your true manna to feed you. Right? So now let's go back to 2 Kings, and I'll start closing it out. 2 Kings 6:25. And it reads, and there was a great famine in Samaria. All right. And this is when the northern kingdom was going through it. Right. And behold, they besieged it, locked it down until an ass's head was sold for 4 score pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. So now it got to the point it was so bad that they were selling abominated foods, man, that are not part of the dietary laws. You know, eating donkeys' heads. Donkeys' heads. Okay, eating bird shit. Okay, that's how bad it was in that famine. Then they had hyperinflation on top of that with it, right? It says, as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, help, my lord, O king. And he said, if the Lord Yahweh does not help thee, when shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor or out of the winepress? And the king said unto her, what aileth thee? And she answered and said, this woman said unto me, give thy son that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, give thy son that we may eat him. And she had hid her son. Played her out. All right. Because she wanted to eat him secretly. See, going back to what we just read at what? Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. She will secretly eat her children in the siege. You see? So we got, hey man, we got to be mindful of what's happening, man. This is why you have to be circumspect and redeeming the times, because the days are evil, man. We are in perilous times, man. Dangerous times. Okay? Everything we've been speaking about is happening right in front of your face. Just because it ain't happening directly in your backyard doesn't mean it's not coming. Okay? Remember, you talk about 8 billion people in this world, or more, 9 billion people. All right? The Lord got to bring it upon the whole entire world. So it's a process. But that's why you got to stay ready, right? So you ain't got to get ready. As it says that the Lord will come as a thief in the night. And I've said this many times, man. The Lord going to come like a thief in the night in every type of angle when it comes to, you know, you catching hell. All right. It doesn't just mean that he's coming like a thief in the night just specifically with the missiles. No, the Lord could come with as a thief in the night when it comes to your death. All right. When it comes to certain situations. All right. As in famine. All right, that shit is just gonna come suddenly like a thief, like out of nowhere. Like, damn, what just hit me? You know, you're gonna hear Michael Jackson in the background. You just hit my butt, a smooth criminal. That's what you're gonna hear in the background. You know, because it's just gonna smack you out of left field without you realizing it, because you were so caught up with the cares of this life, the cares of this world, right? So when you're caught up in these things, all right, you can't see the evil coming. That's why it says the prudent man foreseeth the evil and he hideth themselves. So we're constantly hiding ourselves, you know, with these scriptures, meditating on them, because meditating on them is what's giving you the warning over and over and over again. So it prepares you for it. See, that's what we've been doing. We've been preparing our people for the battle, you know, the spiritual battle, which everything is spiritually first and then comes physically. So if you could be prepared spiritually, all right, when it comes to hit you physically, okay, you're not worried about it, man. You're not bothered by it, man, because Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is going to stand up for his elect, man. Okay, he's going to protect his. The Lord has care for his elect, as the scriptures say, right? So, hey, man, can't put it in any more of an easier perspective for you to understand it. Okay, let's grab this. This is Habakkuk 2:1, and it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me. What? Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. By the way things are playing out, that's how he's speaking. And what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord said, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that readeth it. We're making that vision plain upon the tables for you to understand. To understand that, yo, famine is coming upon this place. Okay, heavy famine is coming. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. You know, and we use that, you know, for the MOTB the most. All right. But that's for any situation of prophecy. All right. Because the Lord don't stir these things until the said measure be fulfilled. Right. This is 2nd Ezra's. Right. 2nd Ezra's. What is that? 4 and 37. By measure has he measured the times, and by number has he numbered the times, and he does not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. All right. So everything happens in a chronological order, man. Okay. And we're measuring the time diligently within itself. So we understand that the Heavenly Father is visiting the earth as we speak right now. And we understand that these plagues draw nigh, and they get closer and closer and closer. You see, and they get scarier and scarier and scarier. All right. So we're pretty much going to leave it there through the spirit. Prepare yourselves, prepare your minds, man. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Haloyam La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Barak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. You sisters continue to learn the silence, watching the true men of the Lord, and continually throwing up them prayers, all right, that we stay protected at all times, and that, you know, a Bible ball soon, that the Lord brings destruction upon this place, man, because it's right around the corner, all right, and we could see it, we could taste it, we could smell it, we could see it, all right. And all we could do is prepare for it mentally and spiritually, you know, that the Lord have mercy upon us. So I'll leave it at that. Shalom.